Kicking back on this summer breeze. Welcome to Double K's Classroom. Class is officially in session.
The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hello, y'all, and what's up? It is Double K here, K Double, right here on Double K's Classroom, bringing you that good knowledge, that sports talk from all around the Bay Area, I guess. But no, we stick around to West Coast teams like the Warriors, Dodgers, Giants, Niners, used to be Raiders until they moved to Vegas, but they are still technically West Coast. But normally I go up Seattle, I go up and down the coast, but yeah, we include the Raiders in that. This week we are going to be discussing the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Dodgers in spring training, and we're going to also be discussing the NFL and San Francisco 49ers and their free agency moves this year. And last, I'm going to wind up giving you my thoughts on LBJ being out for about 6 to 8 weeks. He's not out for the season, but LaMelo Ball is. And talk a little bit about all the injuries that are going down in the NBA right at this moment. All right, so let's start with the Warriors, who happen to be one of those teams who are dealing with one of those injuries, and that injury happens to be to the one and only Steph Curry, who's out for, I believe, will be a second game in a row at the time of this recording, possibly this entire week. So possibly he would have not have played by the time this episode airs. With a tailbone bruise, fell while taking a shot and just hasn't been the same. But Steph, They had won 2 out of 3. They lost the game without Steph. This team is just not the same without Steph. But they're going to need him, so I'm pretty sure they're going to wait until he's 100% before they try to bring him back. At this point, the Warriors are 22-21, sitting in 4th place, 9th place overall in the Western Conference, behind the surprising young and very good Phoenix Suns, the LeBron-less Lakers, which we'll get to that later, and the surging Clippers, who've won 2 straight. So I think the Warriors, they're sitting 7 games back right now, or 5.5 games back of that little clump. If they went on a run, they could possibly work their way back into that top 4 or 5 in the conference, but I don't really see it happening. This is a team that's still got a lot to learn. Steph's out there balling, averaging almost 30 a game. Draymond's doing big things, getting triple doubles, averaging 8 assists a game. He needs to get his shooting up, but I believe he had a triple double like two games ago. So both Nico Manning and James Wiseman are attempting to make their impacts on this team. Nico Manning has been showing flashes of greatness in the few minutes and times and spots that he's had running with the second team since the G League bubble was over for the Warriors. And James Wiseman has had his ups and downs, but I think he's had a pretty solid rookie season. I think he's averaging something like 10 points. Like 5 rebounds, something like that, and 1 block. Like, the kid's pretty damn good. Let me see. The kid's showing that the Warriors made a good choice drafting him at number 2 despite his lack of experience. Let's see. No, those are college stats. He only played 3 games for Memphis, but he averaged 19 points and 10 rebounds in those games. Let's see. See if we can find full team stats. This, like I said, good kid. Wiseman, he is averaging 11 points and 6 rebounds a game and 1 block a game. The kid's got skills. You can't take anything away from him. I think the combination, like I said, when Klay comes back next year, I think I've said this on previous episodes, the Warriors are going to be dangerous. But you have Wiggins right now, Oubre. I think Oubre at the end of the day was a good pickup because I hear they're shopping him around now before the 25th. He may not be on the team anymore as this episode airs on the 26th. But I like Oubre, and I think he fits into the Warriors' long-term plans. I think he could replace Andre Iguodala coming off the bench. But he struggles. It's not a balanced struggle. It's not like, okay, for every 4 good nights he's gonna have at least 2 bad. No, it's like for every 4 good nights he's gonna have 3 bad ones, and they may not necessarily come in that type of grouping where it's 4 good nights and 3 bad nights. But he may come in a situation where it's like he has 2 good nights and then a bad night, and then another good night and then 2 bad nights, and then a good night. Like it's really sporadic, and it makes it extremely difficult to consistently put him in the lineup, especially when you need to be putting him in the lineup. But do I believe he can develop into something extremely dangerous for the Warriors? Oh yeah. And if my NBA 2K21 simulation is anything, add him with Klay, and my God, this Warriors team is damn near unbeatable. This Warriors team in my thing won 18 straight games and then proceeded to rattle off 30 of 36 after that. Like, they're like 48, 49, and 6 or 7 or something. So, like, this team has potential to be good. I know that's a video game simulation, but that's about as close thing as you can get to trying to figure out what would happen with these people if they weren't, or if they were together and everybody was healthy. Okay, so I'm going to kind of stop with the Warriors talk there because we'll be updating them again. Oh, yes, for those of you who were expecting this episode to be about hockey, I do apologize. Due to some scheduling conflicts, I'm not going to be able to record the hockey episode with my friend Marty until my next K episode of Double K's Classroom. So next week will be KD5P, and then the week after that I'll have Marty on for Double K's Classroom, and we'll talk a little hockey. He's a really big hockey fan. Man knows more about hockey than I've known throughout the years, and I'm a sports fan. I love hockey, but he knows far more about it. I like to bring in people that know a little bit more about the subject that I'm talking about than I do when I do specialty episodes like that, so he'll be coming in to join me. All right. So we're going to skip on over to baseball. The past couple of episodes, we've been kind of slow rolling through the baseball season. We did the A's first. We did the Giants last episode. This week we're doing the Dodgers, who sit at 10-8, about 2.5 games back at Kansas City. They've lost 3 straight in the Cactus League. let's see who they've lost those to the Giants, the Mariners, and the Brewers. The Brewers. They play the Cubs tonight as I'm recording this. This is a team that has a pretty decent roster going into next year. I think that, like, despite what's going on right now with their with spring training, I think that they're going to end up being a team that's going to be back in the playoffs next year and potentially back in the World Series. They have Clayton Kershaw as their number one, Trevor Bauer, dude from Cleveland, as their number two, Walker Buehler as their number three, David Price and Julio Urias as their fourth and fifth. David Price and Julio Urias, come on. They also have Blake Treinen. Used to be the closer for Oakland. Joe Kelly, Victor Gonzalez, Corey Nebel, and Scott Alexander in the bullpen with Kelly Jensen returning as their closer. They have Will Smith as the catcher, Max Muncy as their first baseman, Gavin Lux as their second baseman. They still got Justin Turner, man in the hot corner, Corey Seager at shortstop, A.J. Pollock in left field, Bellinger, the man, the league MVP should have been last year in center field, and Mookie Betts in right field with, like I said, DH AJ Pollock when necessary. But man, this is like, wow. Like that's I would kill for that type of team on my video game on friggin' MLB 20. Like, I would kill for that team. That team would rock. Would nobody be stopping that? With Kershaw, man, come on. You almost guaranteed to win, or at least an opportunity to win with every 5 days. And then they got David Price and Trevor Bauer. Come on, man. They were World Series champions last year, and unless you're a Giants fan, in which case I give you, or an A's fan, I give you credit for hating the Dodgers, because I hate them too. But taking my A's fandom and setting it aside, I have to show respect for this Dodgers team. They earned that World Series win last year, and I think they may earn their way back again this year. They've been in, I want to say, the last at least 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 NLCSs, and they finally broke through to the World Series and lost to Houston. A few weeks back, or a few years back, and then finally beat last year. So, man, the Dodgers are the real deal. If you don't know, guess what? Double K just told you, so now you know. The Dodgers are the real deal, and if you don't understand it, like, you're lost. It's not their fault. So, with that, we're going to go on ahead and take a break. Quick podcast promo break, 4 Aces lineup break, and we'll be back in a couple minutes to talk a little bit of 49ers draft, mock draft, what Mel Kiper has them doing with the most recent mock draft, and also what they've done in free agency, which has been pretty amazing. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this earlier today. So you're listening to Double K's Classroom right here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, or wherever else you find all your favorite podcasts. Peace. You are listening to Double K's Classroom right here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled D-A, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
Hey guys, this is Venice, and I've got a message from a friend of mine about my favorite podcast.
It's your boy, Flavor Flav and Full Effect. Check this out, everybody. I want y'all to go check out TJ.
What's good, everybody? TJ Johnson here for Voice from the Underground. I am the most handsome.
Big Hass.
And I'm smoking my cigar, of course.
You know what I'm saying? The Dutch.
You pick me up in an Uber and a PT Cruiser, I'm calling Lyft.
Because they be fighting the power, talking about social issues, politics, you know what I'm saying?
And we're not even that good.
Right, we're terrible. Terrible. Tangents all over the place.
And not only that, but they be keeping it fun with the sports, music, comics, and movies too.
Am I allowed to talk?
I think no, not right now.
Shut up, colonizer!
You know what I'm saying? He on Twitter at VFU Podcast. So you can find them. So check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy.
Okay, what Flav was trying to say is, check out Voice from the Underground on your favorite podcast network.
Voice from the Underground.
Man brain. You know you want it. You know you need it. Let me introduce you to our team of audio professionals, 100% committed to giving you the greatest extreme comedy podcast of all time.
What's SPH? I'm so super cute.
Send me your orgasmic release videos.
You can get it rootin'. You can get it tootin'. You can get it doing doughies in your yeet. Mi nombre es Tío Yeti. And you just laugh at little Hank. I ain't gonna pretend I is fresh. But looks like you might like that.
And most importantly, I'm Skullfucker. Rah! Go to manbrainpodcast.com to get orally violated. Manbrain out.
All right. So for those of you that were watching this on YouTube, that there was the 4 Aces Presents Radio lineup. And for those of you listening on the show, y'all just heard podcast promos from the podcast, Voices from the Underground and Man Brain Podcast. All 3 shows that I swapped podcast promos with on Twitter. You can find them on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. Tweet. At double KK double, or you can find me on YouTube right here where you're watching double KK double network, or you can find me on Facebook at the double KK double network fan page, where you can find all the shows from Double K's Classroom, KD5P, West Coast Bias, and Cheap Pop. You can find all 4 shows there at the double KK double network fan page. All right, so back to sports. Let's talk some San Francisco 49ers, who have made some big signings that have made adjustments to their depth charts. So let's start with the biggest one. They managed to bring back Trent Williams. That was huge. 6 years, $138 million. Now, what I was telling a friend of mine earlier today was that where I'm impressed with John Lynch as an executive is he came into this, I told you guys, he came into this offseason with a little under $23 million to work with, and had at least 10 or 15 top starters that they needed to re-sign, impact players. They decided to let Richard Sherman walk. They re-signed Trent Williams. Like I said, $138.6 million, $55 million guaranteed, includes a $30 million signing bonus. So basically, really, it's about $55 million over the life of the deal. That's non-guaranteed. This is the team that needed to secure the left tackle position. They lucked into him last year when Joe Staley retired in the draft, being able to trade for him for just like a 5th round draft pick, and he graded out as the best left tackle in football last year by Football Focus, and they needed to bring him back. Okay, so they got him. Then they went out and got a guy named Samson Ibaka from the Rams, and the kid's young. He's got some speed to him. He doesn't exactly have high numbers, but because obviously if he had big numbers, the Rams wouldn't be letting him go. But the risk is very little. They signed him for 2 years, a little under $13 million, a little under $12 million. Could be up to $13 million by the time it's over with. So I say worth the risk. Definitely worth the risk. They knew they weren't bringing back Richard Sherman, so Verrett became their top target this year in this offseason, and they got him on a 1-year deal, $5.5 million. They also brought back Emmanuel Mosley on, I believe, a 2-year deal worth about $5 million a year. They brought back Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, on a 5-year deal, $27 million. They brought back DJ Jones on a 1-year deal, on basically a prove-it type deal. They brought in a guy named Zach Kerr, who was a journeyman defensive tackle, to kind of replace Kerry Hyder Jr., who they ended up let go. No, sorry, Bacham replaced him. But just to add some more depth to the defensive line, one of what I consider a huge pickup is they signed former Pro Bowl center Alex Mack. Now people are like, oh, well, he's old. Well, he's still got a couple of years. Center is a different type of position, and he's still got a couple of years left in him. He made the All-Decades team. Most likely Weston Richburg, who restructured his contract to give the Niners more cap room, is going to be gone. So Alex Mack taking over. I wanted the Niners to draft him when he first came out into the league because he was a Cal guy. But bringing him in, he's managed to successfully run. He was the center in Atlanta the year that Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn and them boys went to the Super Bowl and lost to Tom Brady. He was the center there. He was the center in Cleveland for a few years. Like, that was where he first got drafted to. This guy's damn good, and I think he's going to end up being one of the best pickups. They got a guy from the Cardinals that they signed away from. It's a 1-year, like $900,000 deal with a $300,000 or $200,000 guaranteed. He's a wide receiver, but he's a special teams guy, so he helps kind of secure their special teams unit there. Dante Johnson played for the Niners last year. Re-signed on a 1-year deal. I heard he was kind of talked into coming back. Same thing with Jaquiski Tart. He talked Jaquiski. He helped talk Jaquiski Tart into coming back. Tart's back on a 1-year deal to remain with the 49ers. He's coming off an injury. They also signed Tavon Wilson just in case. So they really have a locker room that's going to be full when it comes at the safety position with Wilson, Tart, Jimmy Ward, Tavarius Moore, Marcel Harris, all fighting for starting positions. So competition breeds, excellence, in my opinion. So I think having more, the merrier. They're bringing back Jordan Willis on a 1-year deal. And I think he's definitely worth it. So that's all the cats that they brought back, and I'm telling you, that's not including the earlier re-signings of like Jeff Wilson Jr. I believe they signed Raheem Mostert to a long-term contract, and they still have the number 12 pick in the draft. They still pick at number 12 in the first round, and this most recent mock draft with Mel Kiper saw them taking Caleb Farley. Now, once again, I'm going to go back to my video game GM prowess here. On Madden, I drafted him out of the created class from this year. I drafted him on the first year with one of the top picks, and that boy turns out to be a beast. He's still on the team right now, and he's a 99. He's only like in his 5th or 6th year. The kid can become a shutdown corner in the right system. So you add him to Mosley, Verrett, Quan Williams is a free agent. Killer Witherspoon went to Seattle along with Kerry Hyder. But you're bringing back all 5 of those safeties, and then you're bringing back, like I said, Verrett. You throw in either Caleb Farley or J.C. Horn from Vatech in the draft in that first round. And, man. Because it doesn't look like they're moving off of Jimmy. As much as everybody hates Jimmy, it doesn't look like they're moving off of Jimmy. So if they want to stick with Jimmy, I can understand. 25 and 8 as a starter, like, you don't just throw that away. The team will be back to normal next year and competing. I'm not going to sit here and say that they'll go to a Super Bowl, but they'll compete. they'll compete. They'll be far more competitive than they were this year. So, because if that defense was a top 15 defense without, which they were statistically, without Nick Bosa, without D Ford, without Richard Sherman, then I can see how when you put back the band together the way that they did, how that could be a top 10, top 5 defense next year, which could lead us right back to where we were 2 years ago, competing for a Super Bowl. Nobody. I don't know of anybody who's not expecting San Francisco to bounce back this year. All right, so that's that update. Next week, we're going to start moving on to a little bit of taking a look at the Raiders last year and then taking a look at the Raiders draft and this year in a couple of weeks. Or after the next episode when we talk a little hockey. Last subject of the night is injury. Injury is beating up everybody right about now. Steph's out because of his tailbone. Kelly Oubre didn't miss games because of his hand. Draymond missed half of the first part of the season. LeBron James is out with a high ankle sprain. They're like 6 to 8 weeks. Anthony Davis is out till April. Like, man, nobody, like, I get the people that are like, oh, this is the dangers of having a quick turnaround on the season and all that, but none of these injuries seem to be wear and tear injuries. Like, Steph fell on his tailbone and busted his tailbone, and that's what happened there. You know, Clay busted his, like, these aren't like wear and tear injuries. These are just like bad luck injuries. But I do see the Lakers bouncing back. They should get both LeBron and AD back before the playoffs. The Warriors will most likely be in the play-in tournament. Whether or not they'll win it is a whole different subject, but they should be in there. If they do win it, who knows, man? They could give the Lakers a run for their money. If the Warriors are clicking on all cylinders, they can really give the Lakers a run for their money. But overall, I think that these injuries are going to hurt viewership, but they're not going to hurt the league. I think by playoff time, all of the stars will be back aligned where they should be, and people will be all about. I want to say people will be all about paying attention to seeing what these teams are going to be doing overall. All right. So that's going to do it for me for this week. Like I said, keep in tune for Cheap Pop Podcast tomorrow. If you're watching this on YouTube, or 2 days from now, if you're listening to this on Friday night, I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll catch y'all next week with KD5P. And, yeah, keep tuning into the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. All right? And we'll keep cranking them out for you. Peace.